America as well, which is forget the past.
Before this coronavirus hit, he had the economy booming, and red, yellow, black, and white Americans of all stripes were able to take advantage of American prosperity.
Despite President Trump's common sense approach, schools closed.
So this is Joe Biden. This is a man who wants to be president, and he can't find the time in his little video to say he's proud of this country. We've never lived up to it, he says.
I don't think that if Joe Biden was president, we would see these types of gains. It is because of Donald Trump's policies and what he has done to help our country grow again.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to be here with you and to hear these stories on why the fight for freedom can never be forgotten.
What is happening in our backyard today, I experienced as an 11-year-old at a guy named Castro.
Republicans are the party of freedom, Democrats are the party of socialism and worse.
We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will make America great again.
Welcome to Team Trump Online.
Hi, I'm Mercedes Schlapp, Senior Advisor for the Trump-Pence campaign, and yes, we are on the Pink Women for Trump bus tour here in Wisconsin. We met with these great women small business owners who are talking about what the president has done to make sure that we're able to save their businesses during this tough time.
In this great country, you can come from nothing and build greatness and build a great small business and expand your businesses to other states. And that is the greatness of America.
Little lip gloss on top. Oh look, I can use a camera.
Why we have to get out there and fight for our families. If Joe Biden was elected, could you imagine what would happen in this country?
But ladies, I mean, you just need to understand, no matter where we go, it's always a room full of women when they bring in the top volunteers.
Headed to my favorite park, Cops and Canines.
Team Industries, wonderful corporation that's benefited greatly from President Trump's policies when it comes to lowering taxes, getting rid of job-killing regulations, and great trade deals that President Trump has been able to accomplish.
We want you to know that we stand with you, we support you. We're here to ensure that you all, as you did in 2016, will deliver victory for President Donald J. Trump.
Wednesday just got better because the ladies are live discussing the hottest topics of the week with you tonight.
And we will make America great again.
Hey everybody, I'm Lara Trump and welcome to The Right View. With me as always is Kimberly Guilfoyle, Mercedes Schlapp, and Katrina Pierson. Please be sure as always to like and share this broadcast with your friends. All right, let's get started. Ladies, great to be back with you again. Mercy and Katrina, since we last talked, you both got to go out on the road. I think Kimberly and I are so jealous. You were in the great state of Wisconsin for the Women for Trump bus tour, and tomorrow is actually the 1-year anniversary of our launch of our incredible coalition, Women for Trump. how very exciting for all of us. So tell us your most memorable moments. How was the trip? Do you have the bus set up so that when Kimberly and I get on there, we got our nook, or did you guys take all the good spaces?
Exactly. Bus life.
We have our designated spaces within the bus. That is true. But we missed you both so much. And all those great women in Wisconsin were all like, how's Lara doing? Is Kim okay? We're praying for Kimberly. It was just really spectacular. But of course, you both were so missed. But guess what? We're going to be doing these bus tours all the time. Right. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity to go meet these wonderful women across the country who love Donald Trump, who are literally working day in and day out to make phone calls for the president and get our women on board. I think Katrina and I really felt the sense that they know that we've got to save America. And the only way to save America is by reelecting Donald J. Trump. But I think there was one particular stop that we made, and we made a lot of them, but that really impacted both of us and the ladies on the bus. Pam Bondi was with us, as well as Penny Nance, and it was called EmmaLovesDogs.org. It's their organization. It's their foundation. It's a beautiful couple who lost their daughter Emma, 8-year-old Emma, to a brain cancer, and what happened was that there was this outpour from the police departments and from the sheriff's office that they would bring their canines, because she loves dogs. So they would bring their canines over to be with her. So following a chemotherapy or following an operation, those canine dogs with these police officers would come to her bedside. And there's one beautiful photo of Emma with the canine dog, huge dog, German Shepherd, in her bed. And those parents were just so spectacular and really shared with us that beautiful story. And so after she passed away, they started this foundation to help raise funds for the police officers who want to train these canines. So they're able to purchase the dog, they're able to train the dog, and then those dogs are on the front lines with these police officers to combat crime. And so it's an amazing story of our police officers and our law enforcement who love America, who are part of the community, and who keep our community safe. And I think the story of Emma was just so touching. We had Lara, you called in, you got to talk to
parents. I was so excited whenever you said, like, we're here with Emma's parents. Do you have 2 minutes? And I was like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. I got to talk to them. And what a cool thing that they have done. I mean, for these police officers, which God bless our law enforcement officers all across this country. My cousin actually happens to be a sheriff's deputy in Alabama, and he is a canine officer. And these dogs, I mean, they're part of your family. His kids love the dogs that he's had throughout the years. And what an incredible thing. And I said, as soon as I spoke to Emma's parents, and Mercy, you handed them the phone, I said, Emma and I would have been very good friends because I also love dogs, in case nobody's heard.
I took my daughter with me, Alyssa, 13 years old. She was just so emotional. Katrina was standing right by my side, and she goes, I can't talk. I just can't talk. I can't talk. Because we were just crying and crying. But it was because it just was this beautiful story of how these parents are carrying on their daughter's legacy and helping our police officers, which is just, it was just so beautiful. So beautiful.
What about you, Katrina? How was it for you?
Yeah, you know, to Mercy's point, I couldn't even speak because the father would start crying and the mother would have to pick up telling the story, particularly at the end of Emma's life. She would not get out of her hospital bed. And the hospital made an exception to allow one of the dogs to come into the hospital, and she got out of her hospital bed just to be with the dog. And so I was at a loss for words. Yes, it is true. And that was the most moving moment that I think I had experienced on this trail. I mean, you know, we've been doing these tours for a very long time, Lara, and you know, it's just truly a shame that, you know, you missed this one. So we'll have to go back. So see these dogs and the law enforcement officers who love them dearly. And, you know, we went to a wonderful, empowering moment roundtable with women who were business owners and who actually benefited from the president's paycheck protection policies and were able to keep their businesses open and had some very thoughtful and inspiring moments. We went out to Odenhoven's farm where we sat with a family. I think there were like, what, Mercedes, was it like 3 generations of a family? there.
Three generations.
Three
Wow.
generations
4
on
kids.
the dairy farm. And it was beautiful. And this family gave us some really wonderful insight on how the supply chain has impacted them directly and how they were able to stay afloat, and some of the other farms that were impacted. And Mercedes and I, we just took it all in and brought whatever we could back, and really just had a great time in the state of Wisconsin. And, Mercy's right. People are ready to get this president reelected, and we let them know that we're here, we're ready to fight and bring Wisconsin back home to Trump.
All right. Well, next time you won't be so lucky as to have the whole bus to yourselves, because Kimberly and I are coming.
Yeah.
Kimberly, we were home, but how about your weekend? What happened with you?
It was good. I'm working on the big fundraiser for the president, and it was really great because we have a big Zoom event that the president's going to participate in. So I've been raising a lot of money for that. So I'm pretty excited. It actually went very well, and it's great because even when you're home quarantined, you can still use the phone and dial for dollars. So, I like to do that. And then I just, cooked for Don Jr. within an inch of my life. And every 8 minutes I heard, "Princess, I haven't eaten anything in 8 minutes."
Well, God forbid. Let's keep him fed. My gosh.
Oh my
Just
Here,
stuff something in
I've
his
got
mouth
a can for you. I'm going to send
Yes,
it for your
I cook
way.
with Goya every night. Yes,
Good,
yes.
Good. Well, I'm shipping it over to your house. There
I
you
love
go.
it. Well, we need some more rice and beans tonight.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, my husband decided that our son Luke should take golf lessons. Now, I want to remind everybody, Luke is not yet 3 years old, okay? Doesn't really know anything about golf, really has no interest. However, Eric said, let's send him out by himself with a golf pro. Now, this poor golf pro, I owe this guy, I should give him just a full day at a spa somewhere to relax, because as you'll see from the video, my son decided to just lay down in the golf cart. No, he's not doing anything. He threw the golf club in the fountain. So it sounds like I'm going to need to be going and supervising from now on, because that is not how we get down at my house. We do not do things like that. But it's been an interesting time. I use the term golf lessons very loosely. So we're going to see about that. Luke has another thing coming the next time he goes out with this guy. So God bless this young individual who took on my son Luke. We're not going to have that anymore. So yeah, that's what happens when you leave the men in charge of planning things for the kids. All right, let's get started. Yesterday, Joe Biden delivered a speech on clean energy, which translation really means job-killing economic plan. We knew this $1 trillion plan would be absolutely destructive to our energy industry. Now, Katrina, you live in Texas. What would this mean to workers in Texas, and how will it impact the future of American energy independence?
Well, we wouldn't have American energy independence with Joe Biden in charge. And there are millions of jobs at risk here in my state of Texas under this assault by Joe Biden and the radical left. And, $1/3 of $1 trillion to this state's economy. Texas is the leading oil and gas producer, delivering 1/3 of the nation's oil and 1/4 of its natural gas. So just imagine what that would do to our state and our country, because Joe Biden wants to ban fracking, and he would do so and immediately eliminating over 3 million jobs in an instant, Laura, and take 1.5 trillion of our state's economy and wipe it out of existence. Texas does not have a state income tax unless Joe Biden gets elected. So I'm willing to bet that a lot of Texans are thinking about this now, particularly after his discussion, and probably looking at moving to Florida or Tennessee if that ever happens. But we all know that's not going to happen, because Texans are smart. We know what works for us. We are very much an independent state, and we're going to fight to keep our oil and gas.
Mercy, can you explain to us the dangers and devastation that this $2 trillion plan would have on the economy?
Well, let me tell you a little secret here. It's going to be more than $2 trillion. We've seen the American Action Forum. It's a nonprofit group. They're saying it could cost up to $7 trillion. So let's be real. We have already seen a Joe Biden who has created this unified agenda with the socialist Bernie Sanders. It's the socialist manifesto is what we're seeing.
So not only are we seeing the clean energy speech as being part of the economic plan, but we know we're going to see huge tax increases coming, impacting over 82% of Americans. Yep. Our corporate tax is going to be higher than China's. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. So you have to think about the economic devastation that a Joe Biden socialist economic plan will have on America. And it is why we have to ensure that the American people understand that this would lead to job loss. It would lead to businesses continuing to close. And at this state in the game right now, we cannot afford any more job loss in America. In fact, that's why President Trump has focused in on making sure this economy is strong as we get through this coronavirus pandemic.
Well, it's becoming clearer than ever that Joe Biden is truly beholden to the radical socialist ideology of Bernie Sanders and AOC, as you just mentioned, Mercedes. I mean, in some ways, Joe Biden is like their Trojan horse. Like, oh, here's this nice, frail old man. Don't think anything of him. You better start thinking about it because he's coming for you. They're pushing him in there. And then all across this country, they're implementing these job-killing socialist Marxist policies that would destroy America. So, Kimberly, how is Joe Biden going to sell his extreme agenda to blue-collar workers in industrial states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin?
Yeah, well, the truth is he won't be able to. Joe Biden is not putting his campaign in the hands of the voters. He's putting it in the hands of the mainstream media's besties, that he was just acting as an arm of the Democrat Party. Joe Biden continues to run away from questions. He embraces these radical, dangerous policies, yet the media continues to cover up for him left and right. That is why it's so important that we are doing broadcasts like this, like The Right View, right here, because we're able to actually get the truth, the facts, the information out to every viewer. And we're also able to share this broadcast and make it manifest, go forward, and the media is not going to hold Joe Biden accountable. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. They're going to spin it, they're going to deflect, and they're going to lie to get the outcome that they really, truly desire. And the truth is, Joe Biden's policies will destroy America's working class. It will not support it whatsoever. It'll destroy manufacturing jobs and push the American dream straight out of this country and export it to other countries for millions of hardworking Americans. And this will be an absolute devastating tragedy. His policies are going to hurt the very people who actually need the most support and help right now. So whether you're in Wisconsin, you're in Michigan, you're Pennsylvania, or even California for that matter, it is time to actually seriously pay attention, to get engaged, because this election is really going to matter to you. And you don't want to wake up November 4th and figure it all out then.
Yeah. And by the way, you don't even have to take our word for it. You look at what Joe Biden has already done. Look at under the 8 years of the Obama-Biden administration, all of the jobs we lost overseas, all of the mistakes that were made, the job-killing regulations, the shipping manufacturing jobs overseas. Remember, we were told they would never come back to America. Guess what? Donald Trump brought them back. So if you wonder what Joe Biden would do, he's already done it. You've already seen the proof is in the pudding, except now it is so much farther left. It is so much more extreme than even during the Obama-Biden years. This would be absolute devastation. I don't think our country could ever recover. God forbid he got his hands on things. Very, very scary. All right, ladies, thank you so much. We're going to have to take a quick commercial break. Everybody stay where you are. We'll be right back.
Joe Biden can't fix our economy. Biden supports massive tax increases on working families, trade deals that let China and Mexico steal our jobs, amnesty for illegal immigrants competing for American jobs. America would become diminished and weak, just like Biden. President Trump gave us the strongest economy America has ever known. Millions of new jobs, lowest unemployment rate for Black and Hispanic Americans, and he will do it again.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
As we have already seen, his America First agenda has lifted all Americans up and have empowered them with true economic emancipation that has once again made the American dream possible. That's why I want you to text EMPOWER to 88022 right now if you want to keep America great and deliver 4 more years for President Donald J. Trump.
Welcome back to The Right View. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle, National Chair of Trump Victory Finance Committee, and joining us now is Dr. Scott Schmidt, board-certified psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner and founding partner of the Arita Center. Dr. Smith, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here for sure. So I'm excited to have a little conversation on what people's mental health looks like right now and what we can do about it to really make things better, because it's a stressful time. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, President Trump and many parents, around the country, they've really been pushing to get schools open, to do it safely this fall. But so many Democrats, as you see in the talking heads out there, and teachers unions are adamantly against reopening schools for in-person learning. So, Dr. Schmidt, should American schools safely reopen this fall? What is your thought about this, and can it be done safely, bearing in mind that teachers are concerned about getting a virus from children, but we have some strong science that shows that shouldn't be something to be alarmed about?
Right. We know that especially school-age children under 12 are really unlikely to have viral loads where they're actually causing community spread. So this is definitely a cohort of students that I think need to be back in school. We saw in Europe and Asia that they sent kids back to school successfully, which is really important. But I think it comes back down to what people are stressed about. In my practice, I see lots of stress. Out of 100 people, 99% of them are not so worried about coronavirus. We know it's something to take seriously, but most of these people are worried about, how can I work from home and also take care of my children, especially when schools reopen? We're in this summer period of time right now that has afforded a little bit of flexibility, but people are really, really nervous about when school starts back up, how they can work. Because a lot of people are working from home. And we do know, though, that stress, I think we have to go back to that, the negative effects of stress, right? Heart disease, 650,000 people a year die of heart disease. That's the number one killer of people in the United States. Suicide, over 45,000 people. These are stress-related things. Diabetes, 83,000 people. And what we know is that stress actually can cause things like heart disease, diabetes, and of course, can lead to things like depression and other stress-related disorders, which increase suicide rates. So I think that it's a really big problem, right? We know mental illness alone in the United States costs hundreds of billions of dollars a year to employers. This is a really important issue. I know President Trump has done a good job passing recent legislation through an executive order about suicide, and specifically with veterans, which sits dear to my heart as a veteran myself. So yeah, I think the key is how we manage stress. If we know in the workplace that stress is causing absenteeism, is causing difficulty with being present if you're there, decreased performance, we know that in kids, right, stress is going to cause absenteeism, cause decreased performance in school. So we really need to work on getting back.
Absolutely. Stress is a killer. And I appreciate you bringing up all the other factors. There's so many other things going on now besides people getting sick, and it is alarming, the number of suicides as well. On Monday, the Los Angeles Unified School District said it's going to start the school year fully remote. So this is sort of the beginning of the rollout that we see in some of the blue states where they're really encouraging people to stay home even in the fall. Dr. Schmidt, can you talk about the long-term consequences of children being isolated, away from their schools, their friends, their peer groups for extended period of time? Now, keep in mind, this already started in March of this year. So imagine then going all the way into the fall. There's no telling if they'll see a time in school before the end of the year.
The only school-age kids that are doing well right now are the ones that have social anxiety disorder. But this is bad for them because we need to expose them to other people. But they're enjoying being away from other people. However, the vast majority of kids are feeling isolated. They're feeling lonely. They need stimulation. They need social connection. And that school provides more than just the math and reading and science. Basic education, of course, is super important. And we're afraid that kids are going to fall behind, right? The American Pediatric Association came out and said that it's important for kids to be in school. This is something that I really worry about. And again, people, if you put a whole bunch of stressed people in a room, they feed off of each other. And if you have mom and dad at home stressed and you have kids at home stressed, it's just really a recipe for isolation and just not a pretty picture. So we have to have kids go back to school. And again, in Europe, they weren't having quotas. They weren't having part-time on, part-time off. They were sending kids back to school, full classrooms. These are things that we have seen successfully done. I know there is some concern about older children, adolescents, college-age students. But we do know, though, and we're learning more all the time. So at least what the science says now is that asymptomatic carriers, so people that have the infection, are not necessarily likely to spread. That's actually pretty rare. At first, we were hearing lots of different news, but that's what we know right now. So I think, if somebody's sick, they should definitely stay home. That's the right thing to do. But we can't go along. I mentioned all these statistics about things that actually are killing people in big numbers, right? You have 130,000 people a year dying from accidents, but we don't not drive on the road. We have to move forward. And I think that's such an important piece.
All right, fantastic. And Mercy, you have 5 young children. And as a working parent, what do you think and why, that it's critical for schools to reopen this fall for children?
Well, I think I might have to call Dr. Schmidt after this live show here because, listening to you speak, Doctor, there is so much stress. And come to the Schlapp household. We're a great example of 2 working parents and trying to manage 5 different children, which have experienced a tremendous amount of stress because of distance learning and because of the fact that some of these schools have really failed our children during this time. And so what's really troubling for me is that at the end of the day, the goal should be that the learning continues. The learning must continue, and that the goal should be to serve our children first and foremost, not the teachers' unions. No, this is about how can we get the kids back into school safely. And I think your points on talking about how these other countries have managed it is so important for working parents, for single parents, for those parents who depend on the schools for even their child's nutrition. It's creating a huge problem. And I just think this whole time, full-time distance learning is so detrimental. And I've seen it firsthand to these children who need the social interaction, who need the interaction with their teacher, who also learn better in that one-on-one setting of being present there. And, it's funny because they all want to say, oh, our kids are so digital. Well, no. They get isolated, they get sad. It's very heartbreaking to watch. And that's why President Trump has been right on in supporting reopening schools, while you have Joe Biden saying, absolutely not. I stand with the teachers' unions.
All right. Well, Joy Behar, bless her heart, made a blatantly false statement on The View claiming that Republicans do not care about children or education. Let's play the clip and we'll get your reaction.
According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, 1.5 million teachers are at greater risk of serious illness if infected by the coronavirus. 1 in 4 teachers. Yeah. That's a lot. You know what really is making me, amusing me today is this idea that the Republican Party cares about education. They've been spending the last few decades defunding education. And they think that we're going to believe this baloney that they're throwing at us now, that they care about our children. Give me a break. Donald Trump only cares about getting reelected, full stop. And we know from John Bolton and other sources right on the front lines with him that is his ultimate goal. That's all he cares about. Please.
Well, I don't think it's fair to say Republicans don't care about children.
All right. Well, Katrina and Laura, I have to get your reaction to this. Newsflash, she's literally saying the Republicans don't care about children. Katrina, what do you think of this?
Yeah, Kimberly, I find it odd to see these liberals who support, abortion post-birth to call somebody else someone who doesn't care about children. I think the irony there, stands by itself. But I'll also say that, not reopening schools disproportionately impacts minority children. So we're talking about the health and safety, but what about the actual education of these children? A lot of them don't have the tools or resources to learn online. They don't have laptops or devices or even an internet connection. So it's extremely disturbing to just gloss over the impact that all of this has had on children to push your own political narrative against the opposition party. It's frankly disgusting.
Yeah, no kidding. Laura, what do you make of it? Just when you think The View can't top themselves, they do.
Well, of course they do, and it's Joy. So as we said, introing this, bless her heart. This is ridiculous. I mean, she's using John Bolton as her crux there. Oh, well, John Bolton says, really? John Bolton, the guy that wouldn't even go speak in front of Congress because he wanted to write a book, and he knew that everything that he said in that book, if you testified under oath, was not going to be taken seriously. I mean, this guy, he's ridiculous. This is crazy. Here's what I'll tell you. I know as a mom, I have an almost 3-year-old son who is in school and started school last September. The fact that he has not been able to be around kids his own age, I can see having an impact on him. I had somebody come fix my air conditioner the other week. This air conditioning guy, my son was obsessed with, literally grabbing this guy by the hand, wanting him to come play with him. And I'm like, this
he wanted a play date.
Crazy. Like, this poor guy was probably like, let me get the heck out of this house. But the problem here is that the Democrats are desperately trying to fearmonger. They are trying to keep our country shut down. They're trying to keep our children from going back to school because they think it's politically advantageous for them to do. They ultimately don't really care about our children. When you look at the fact that around 30 children under the age of 18 have died from coronavirus. Let me say that again, 30 children, okay? Now, that's 30 too many, and nobody wants to hear that. But you contrast that with the fact that every single day in this country, 9 teenagers die in car accidents. I mean, what are we going to say? Well, then let's stop sending them out in cars. Let's get every car off the road. Those are a hazard to people's health. But no, we keep people in cars. And you know why? Because it is a necessity for life. We know we cannot go on. We cannot go forward without them. So I would ask parents out there, instead of listening to all this fear-mongering talk that the mainstream media is pushing out there, that the Democrats are desperate to get out there, think about the statistics. There are 75 million kids in this country under the age of 18, and we've had 30 deaths. I have zero problem sending my kids to school. I feel like it is a very, very safe thing for them to do. I think it is vital to the development of children, to obviously their education, but there are so many other factors here that nobody ever thinks about. What about the rest of the people whose jobs are dependent on schools? What about custodians? What about bus drivers? You think about the fact that oftentimes abuse is noticed in children, abuse that they're receiving at home by teachers. You think about the fact that there are millions of kids in this country that rely on school lunches to get their food every single day. And what about them? This is crazy. The fact that we are talking about and seriously considering keeping schools closed, I think is a purely political move by the left. And if parents just take the fear that the media has tried to instill in all of us out of it and look at the pure numbers here, there is no reason we shouldn't be sending our kids back to school.
Absolutely. And they're politicizing it and they're hurting children in the process. I mean, education is a necessity. To me, it's like food and water. They need to be able, for their development and for their future, to get a good education. They deserve that in this country. And that's why we support this president who believes children belong in school. And so many children don't even get a good meal except for the food that they get in school, not to mention that. I mean, it's unbelievable. I know my son can't wait to go back to school, so, and he's going to be 14 in the fall. So it's really important for their development as well. They're already on computers too much and, playing games online. All right, Dr. Schmidt, so what message do you want to send to parents and teachers across this country right now to persuade them about the importance of this issue?
Well, I can, really just speak to the fact that I talk to kids for my profession and I hear what they've been saying. And I've been hearing what they've been saying since March. And actually, when they started leaving schools en masse, there was a hiatus in learning. And what Mercedes said is totally accurate. We need to make sure kids are actually learning. And the problem is when I had a lot of my patients struggle with academically and they come and see me and we work together, But wow, they were so happy that they said, I'm doing nothing. This is a problem. We really need to make sure that kids are getting, and you know what? These are really good school districts out in Denver that I'm working with kids at, and still, it's very difficult to do a total remote learning process. I think just the mechanics of that, and that's talking about school districts that are equipped to do that. I'm worried about the school districts that don't have the capacity to do that, let alone, we're talking about the kids that are hardest to take care of are the kids that have less autonomy, which means younger children. And you have younger children who, how is a 7-year-old going learning on a laptop?
Yeah,
this is just not feasible without substantial support from the parents. And if parents are required to give this substantial support for learning, they can't work. And when they can't work, that increases stress in the household. And like I said at the beginning, stress is a big time player in overall mortality and morbidity worldwide. So, you know, major depression, #1 cause of disability in the world. We want to prevent these types of things. So if we can get people back to work, back to school, this is key. So that would be my message.
It's so incredibly important. So many kids don't have the resource, don't have the laptops, or what about children with learning differences or special needs? I mean, children are literally going to lose an academic year because of this, almost even, you know, into the second academic year, almost 2 academic years.
Well,
Dr.
Kimberly, can I add real quick? I mean, I grew up in a household where my parents spoke hardly any English. They could have never helped me with doing online learning. And so you have to remember, it's a lot of, to Katrina's point, it's the Latinos, it's like the you know, Black Americans. Like, it is such a stress on these working families. And like on the Latino side, I'll tell you, a lot of these folks they can't help their kids. And so it really, I think, is so detrimental. I think parents need to be able to have a choice. Like, I think that where we need to get to, if you really are scared and you don't want your kid to go to school, I respect that. But you got to respect those parents who are saying, yeah, I need my kid back in a learning environment so that they can socialize. I think they need to have those flexibility, that option, and adjust accordingly. The problem is you're seeing so many of the school districts just take a one-lane approach, which I think is very detrimental.
So totally true. And Dr. Smith, thank you so much. What a pleasure having you on the program with us today. And I will be right back after this short commercial break with more of The Right View. Stay with us.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. My administration will take all necessary steps to safeguard our citizens from this threat.
Hysterical xenophobia. Giving Americans a false sense.
Is it accurate that if these steps had not been put in place, it could have been 2 million people dead here in the United States?
Yes.
No matter how hard they try to stop us, they can't. We built the greatest economy the world has ever seen, and we're going to do it again. Together, we're beating back the invisible enemy.
What the federal government did was a phenomenal accomplishment.
Through it all, the world has witnessed the unyielding resolve of our incredible American people.
Promise made, promise kept.
And I'm fighting for you, and I love doing it with everything that I have. And you know that.
With the grace of God, we will win this war, and we will win this war quickly.
And we will make America great again.
We know you want to give Donald Trump 4 more years to fight for you in Washington, but he isn't just up against Joe Biden. He's up against the Democrat fundraising machine, and he needs all the help he can get. Don't just assume because his opponent hasn't completed a single sentence that this campaign is over. Crazy things happen, like this woman becoming Speaker of the House. Support the president today by texting Trump to 88022. Donald Trump is counting on every single one of his supporters to text Trump to 88022 now.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
And welcome back to The Right View. I'm Katrina Pierson, Senior Advisor for President Trump's re-election campaign. And in recent weeks, the left has ramped up their cancel culture movement. This movement, championed by Joe Biden and the Democrats, is meant to fundamentally change our American way of life. And the most recent example of this is Goya food boycott. Now, we've all heard about this, and this is the largest Hispanic American-owned food company after their CEO, Robert Unanue, appeared alongside President Trump last week during the Hispanic Prosperity Initiative at the White House. Let's watch this clip.
We're all truly blessed at the same time to have a leader
like President Trump, who was a builder. And that's what my grandfather did. He came to this country to build, to grow, to prosper. And so we have an incredible builder, and we pray for our leadership, our president, and we pray for our country that we will continue to prosper and to grow.
Now, Mercy and Kimberly, I know you both have very strong reaction to this absurdity, but Mercy, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on this?
This is when like my Latina hothead comes out, okay? Like it's bad. Because here's the deal. I grew up on these products. This is such a staple of my life. And to know that this man has been, he has lived the American dream. He has fed, I'd say millions of Latinos, not only here in the United States, but across Latin America. And for the Democrats to go after a success story, someone who we are proud of for what he has done in America, is just so, it's so disgusting. It just shows that even if the CEO said one positive thing about the president, that they would shoot him down and try to destroy his company. It is what the left does. They target anyone who speaks favorably about the president. We're used to it because it happens to us every single day. But for this man who's a successful businessman to get attacked is outrageous. But I will add, as I'm going to promote his products, you guys, I love it. On Twitter, you see all these people, they're like, I just bought all this Goya stuff. I have no idea what to do with it.
I think they're sold out in grocery stores. Right? I keep seeing this. That's
so
fantastic.
I think Kimberly and I should like do a couple of these cooking things. This is the mojo. This is very critical. So this, you literally buy a pork shoulder and like stab it with holes and put garlic and oil and salt and pepper, marinate, and just pour this whole thing on top. And then you just really massage the meat and then throw it in the oven, until it gets cooked. So I have to say, this is my favorite Goya product besides the black beans, of course, which we have over here. But the mojo is critical for your meat. So we're happy if you have any questions, just DM me on Twitter.
I've been cooking with Kimberly.
Yes, I do.
We should do a whole episode.
I'll take you on, okay? I can cook this food too. We'll take it on. Take it on the road.
Well,
Laura and I can do the
we're
taste
having
testing. We'll do the
roast
tasting.
pork and arroz con gandules tonight, and I cook Goya every day. So people said to me, Kimberly, where did you get that big Goya gift package sent you? I'm like, what gift package? I was all excited. I said, did someone send me a gift package of Goya? This is amazing. And no, I didn't get sent a gift package. But it's everything that I cook with every night. I have the cooking wine, I have the beans, I have the adobo, I have the garlic powder, I have all the the chicken bouillon that they have. Anyway, all of it. And so I love it. I grew up with that. My mother used it all the time, and my aunt Juanita and my aunt Mariana, my mom Mercedes, same name. So it was just fun. It was just part of my life growing up. And God bless them for sticking up. And I got to tell you, I'm excited because more people are going to cook better now that they have some Goya in their life. Don and I had a little Goya party, and we did a Malta, we did a little boomerang, and he was like, what am I doing? And then he drank it all, of course. And it's great. It's like a little malt beverage, non-alcoholic. So I don't know. I'm not sure how far the left is going with this moronic cancel culture, and that's what it is. It's totally moronic. But here is just, some of the other things the Democrats want to cancel, okay, besides Goya. Washington's football team, they're totally against Aunt Jemima syrup. They want to cancel rice. They want to cancel comedy. Highways, to God forbid transportation, that's AOC. The Emancipation Memorial. They want to cancel all law enforcement, defund the police, and basically America as we know it. So if you're into all that, then you would vote for Joe Biden. And what we're dealing with right now is crazy. You actually would never think you would see this day, right? It sounds like a science fiction movie. But in law school, we're taught there are actually 3 ways to win a case. If you have the facts on your side, you pound home the facts. If you have the law on your side, you pound home the law. But if you do not have the facts or the law, then you just pound the table and make a lot of noise. And that's what they're doing. That is basically the marching band tune of the Democrats and what they're doing, trying to defeat President Trump. They got no game, no action, no ideas, but it's not going to work. And the American people are actually paying attention and jumping on board. And like President Trump, his tweet this week, he said, on November 3rd, the silent majority will reign. I love it. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too, because we saw this, similarly in 2016 when you get the little thumbs up from people who just didn't want to deal with the backlash. And I think we're going to have that again. But Kimberly, you mentioned they canceled pretty much everything now, so I'm not quite sure what's left. But Mercy and I also met this nice young girl named Samantha who attends Marquette, and she spoke up with her voice, and they tried to cancel her college. So they really do want to cancel everything, Lara, and this toxic cancel culture really has no limits. I mean, we've just spoken of all of the crazy things. I mean, there's an assault on my maple syrup, for crying out loud. So,
which is delicious.
It's the best. I mean, that's just how absurd it is. And I can tell you all that a lot of people feel the exact same way that we do based upon what we see online. But speaking online, there was a tragedy that occurred over the last week, and there was a daughter of one of two cops killed this weekend, actually, in an ambush in McAllen, Texas. And this young girl was attacked on Twitter for posting the hashtag Blue Lives Matter as a remembrance post for her fallen father, Officer Ismail Chavez. Lara, what does this say about the left that they'll even attack willfully a grieving daughter for honoring her father who was killed in the line of duty?
Well, they know no limits. And I mean, Kimberly said it. The reality is when you don't have a response, an educated, fact-based response to things, this is all you do. I mean, I think about my 2-year-old son. Again, I brought him up like in every segment in this, but it's so applicable because when a 2-year-old doesn't have a good response to things, they're just like, no, right? They just throw fit, no. This is literally what we are seeing happen on the left because they know that their argument is based in all sorts of fallacy, that the things they're proposing do not make sense. These are individuals that are supporting, again, defunding police, looting, rioting, burning down small businesses, but they are trying to cancel Paw Patrol, Gone with the Wind, Mary Poppins, Uncle Ben's Rice, Land O'Lakes Butter. Are you serious? This is literally a 2-year-old temper tantrum coming to fruition on the Democrat side. It is absolutely ridiculous. And I always say this, but this is the kind of stuff that really gets under people's skin. Everyday people who just want to be able to turn on the TV, put on Paw Patrol for their kids. I want to be able to go and buy some Land O'Lakes butter. And you know what, Aunt Jemima, I've been eating her pancakes and using that syrup my entire life. How sad is it that this woman's legacy is now tarnished and gone because these people couldn't get control of themselves? They threw a tantrum and want to cancel everything. And we also saw recently that a New York Times reporter has fully left the organization because she said she was basically canceled there because and by the way, this woman was like crying at her desk the day that Donald Trump was elected, the day after the election in 2016. Not a Trump supporter, but she had a center-right ideology, and she tried to present facts to people, and they said, we're canceling you too. We've seen it across the board, but I think Americans are waking up, and I think that when this is under everybody's skin, and it's under a lot of people's skin, November 3rd is going to be a landslide victory for Donald Trump. They're never going to talk about it. I think we'll maybe not even get all the thumbs ups, Katrina, like we did, like the low-key thumbs up in the airport, people. Because they're scared to say anything. But when you go in a voting booth, folks, not a single soul is going to know who you vote for. So you go in there and you vote with your heart and you vote with your conscience and you vote with your gut and you vote for what you know is going to turn this country around because this cancel culture crap, everybody is over. It's ridiculous. Get a hold of yourselves, Democrats. My gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad that we don't have Dr. Schmidt on for this segment because you mentioned the behavior of a 2-year-old, Lara. And Dr. Schmidt would be able to tell you that 2-year-olds are very self-centered and narcissistic because they want everything their way. And we are absolutely seeing this with grown-ups. This is the generation where everybody got a trophy. No one had to work for anything. Everything was handed to them. And they want the whole world to conform to their own personal world. And we're seeing this play out.
Maybe they need a timeout.
Well, yes, I agree. And I'm not changing any Democrat's diaper, okay? Not doing it. Not happening here.
Well, they clearly all have dirty diapers because they're very cranky and very irritated.
Very angry all the time. So ladies, great discussion. We have one more commercial break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
radical left-wing mob's agenda? Take over our cities, defund the police, pressure more towns to follow, and Joe Biden stands with them. Cutting police funding.
Yes, absolutely.
Eliminating cash bail, letting criminals back on the street, violent crime exploding, innocent children fatally shot. Who will be there to answer the call when your children aren't safe?
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back to The Right View. I'm Mercedes Schlapp, Senior Advisor for Strategic Communications. Ladies, I'd like to get your final thoughts, but first, before we do that, we're going to talk about a few ways that you all who are watching can get involved. Let's download the new groundbreaking Trump 2020 app, now available on Apple and Android. Sign up to volunteer, register for events, and win exclusive prizes. You can also stay in contact with us. Please text Trump to 88022. If you or your friends, family, or neighbors want to be involved in our fight to re-elect President Donald J. Trump, please visit armyfortrump.com to sign up. There is no time to sleep. There's only time to work. That's what the ladies here at The Right View do every single day. But before we leave you, I want to get some final thoughts. Lara, I'll start with you.
All right. Well, I hope everyone takes my final thought. It's very serious. I'm just kidding. It's really not. I got a delivery for my dogs, Ben and Charlie. A friend of mine sent me 2 of these beautiful Nancy Pelosi dog toys.
Oh my God.
The nice thing is that she's wearing a little flag pin. So I guess that's she's all good to go there. She's got her flag pin. She doesn't have her scarf on, so this must have been pre-COVID that she always has on. But my dogs are loving it. We're already down to just one of the 2. And so thank you, Nancy. We're loving them at home. Beautiful.
I love it. Kimberly.
I have 2 things I want to touch on. This month, President Trump's campaign and joint committees will hit a major milestone in our effort to re-elect the president. $1 billion raised. We are actually going to hit it 3 months earlier than both former President Obama in 2012 and Hillary Clinton in 2016. And these funds are ensuring this campaign is able to build the biggest and most aggressive political operation in the history of presidential politics. With the convention right around the corner and 111 days until the election, we are in a strong position financially to make sure we have the fuel in the tank to deliver President Trump 4 more years. And second, I have a message for all those liberals who want to cancel anything and everything they do not like. Grow up. America is about freedom. It is about choice. It is about boundless opportunity and hope. We have accomplished a lot as a nation by uniting to solve problems. And if your only solution is to yell cancel, I hate to break it to you, but you are part of the problem. However, there is hope. Stop buying into everything the media and the Democrats are throwing at us in an attempt to divide us. You can challenge their lies and hold them accountable. Together, we can continue to make America a more perfect union, but we can only do it together. And here at Team Trump, we are committed to doing just that.
That's fabulous. Fabulous. Katrina, final thoughts.
So, okay, you guys, I want to give a shout out to Damani Bryant Felder, whose Instagram handle is the Damani Felder. He posted a video from right here in Dallas, Texas. He was downtown having a peaceful dinner with many other Black families, some who had small children with them, and their evening was rudely interrupted by what he calls mentally ill white people who were actually the Black Lives Matter protesters.
Oh, jeez.
So he posted this video on his Instagram of the white protesters screaming and yelling profanities in front of little Black children who were just there with their families trying to have a dinner on a peaceful Dallas evening. So his full observation is on his Instagram. I encourage everyone to check it out. It's quite entertaining to say the least, but this is a growing sentiment of more Black people who are taking to social media to point out that Black Lives Matter is not about Black lives. It's about white liberals who feel the need to feel better about themselves. And there are people who are supporting this Marxist organization who's actually just profiting on white guilt. And so this type of stupidity is spreading far and fast. So I encourage more people to be bold and speak their truth and continue to expose this chaos for what it is. Stand strong, speak boldly, and stand for what you believe, and never let anyone shout you down. Just stand strong and bold, because there are millions of Americans depending on you to help preserve our freedom and the right to have dinner in peace in our country.
Wow, when you think they can't get any dumber, they just, these poor kids.
Well, really I got to tell you, you three women are three of the boldest women I have the honor to work with every single day. Seriously, you all stand so strong, and it's amazing. But I've got some really exciting news. You're not going to believe this. Starting soon, Women for Trump will be hosting watch parties for the Right View around the country. And they're going to be playing Right View Bingo. You got to see this bingo card. It's great.
What?
It's great. Kimberly's family's on it. And so anytime they mention like PPP or they mention Lara or Katrina, you get to put that little penny down.
Oh, that's great.
It's going to be a lot of fun. But let me tell you, they'll be working the whole time, all day long.
You can make that into a drinking game too, I'm just saying.
Just saying.
Ooh, that might be the next thing we do, the happy hours for the Right View. I kind of like that. But only after they reach about 1,000 calls a day. I don't know.
Yeah, after the calls. Don't do it before the calls. Whoa.
Oh my gosh. Although that could be quite entertaining.
It could be. I think that could work. We could name the cocktails. It'll be a lot of fun. So, but if you want to be part of these watch parties near you, go to donaldjtrump.com and you got to be on the lookout. There might be some special surprise guests at some locations, ladies. Hint, hint, one of you people or several of us people together. So it's going to be very exciting. I'm so thrilled, and we're looking forward to getting on the road again, getting Kimberly and Lara on the road again as well. But I want to thank our special guest, Dr. Scott Schmidt, for joining us, and a huge thank you to all of our amazing supporters at home for tuning in. We will see you all next time as we continue to fight to re-elect President Donald J. Trump and to make America great again. God bless you. God bless this great country. God bless Donald Trump.